Hello Gears and Gaming fans, KDB here for Gears Intel. Back for a little podcast addendum video audio thing. Last week we released our post-reloaded discussion, which we talked about whether Gears of War Reloaded was a success. David, Alex and myself got together to talk about how we're feeling about the game nearly a couple of months out, what our experiences were with it, and just our kind of feelings on the whole. Well, all the things going on with the fan sentiment and Xbox and stuff like that. And we kind of came away from the podcast all feeling mixed, I would say. There's lots of things that we're really positive about and, still looking forward to for the future. But I think there was an overwhelming sense that Reloaded, despite being a success probably internally and financially and all this kind of stuff, it maybe didn't really give us everything we'd be hoping for in a remastered release, or perhaps it was a missed opportunity to add a few extra little things that really made it a must-have package for Gears fans out there, rather than just an onboarding for new fans, which it might have even failed at for that as well. But anyway, please do go and check out the full episode. It turned out to be our longest episode ever, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, that's kind of the reason for this video today, because the original plan for that podcast was to feature your write-ins. We did a submission form online, which some of you very kindly submitted write-ins to, but because we'd already gone for an hour and 40 minutes, I kind of just made the decision to cut the write-ins out because we were only really supposed to go for an hour. So yeah, it kind of tells you where our feelings were at on the game. But I definitely wanted to feature the write-ins and respond to them because we got quite a few through Google, and we got loads of stuff on Twitter as well. But the people that took the time to submit write-ins, thank you. That's what this is today, to feature your thoughts on Reloaded and anything Gears of War. So let's get straight to it. The first write-in was from Gears Diver, formerly Retrozoid on Twitter, often interacting with us on Twitter and the videos and stuff, which we massively appreciate. So thank you, mate. And they say, so yeah, my thoughts was great multiplayer at launch, but then the shotguns became OP. Consistent what seems to be cheating and impossible to have a decent match when you're headshotted with a shotgun from the opposite end of the map, mainly PC players. As a very long time Gears OG, I'm really disappointed in that. However, as I'm playing on PS5, I think the campaign is stellar, the graphics are fantastic, and amazing that it came to PlayStation. Yeah, this is kind of in line with some of our sentiments. Now, the shotgunning one headshot thing from like the other side of the map or really far away, I think they did patch that. So Gears Diver sent this right in probably a while ago. So I think that has been tweaked, right? I don't think I'm making that up. But yeah, this is very kind of similar to us. We think the campaign's stellar and, all the graphics look great. And it is a good thing that it came to PlayStation. We just had some kind of complaints about the multiplayer, which, well, I say complaints again, go and listen to the main show, we get deep into it. Generally, I think now it's functioning perfectly great. The issue is matchmaking. Cheaters is definitely another thing. I don't think it's been hugely prevalent, but I've certainly seen a few clips going around, and I think there's been a bit of a campaign against the cheaters on Reloaded. So also, we have from Jake Steele 44 on Twitter, also another regular engager with our content. Thank you, Jake. So Jake says, love the podcast and positive energy you all give towards Gears. I mean, the previous episode maybe wasn't massively positive, but I mean, it was honest, right? It was honest and sincere. And Jake says, my question is, do you think E-Day might open with a present-day Marcus trying to comfort a devastated JD, confirming he survived in Gears 5, speaking about how difficult it was for him to cope with Carlos's death while struggling to survive the nightmare that was E-Day? This way, it acknowledges the present-day Gears storyline and cliffhanger right off the bat and can be fully focused on the events of E-Day. Keep up the great work, and I look forward to listening. I love this writing. This is something that I'm not sure we've spoke about on the show, but definitely chatting with friends and certainly musing to myself. I might have rambled about it on some videos in the past, but this whole idea about how they're going to deal with what happened at the end of Gears 5 and what a Gears 6 eventually will be is really interesting. And this idea of a flashback, or, this time jumping around, or Gears 6 being kind of confined to a prologue in E-Day, I think is perfectly possible and potentially quite likely. I actually think it's going to go one of two ways. So, Gears 6, I don't think we are getting a Gears of War 6 that picks up exactly where Gears 5 left off, and it continues all that stuff with the Swarm. There's one of two things that I think is going to happen. We are either going to get Gears 6 confined to, like what Jake's saying here, a short sequence in a new game, so whether that's a prologue, an epilogue, or DLC, you know, with this kind of thing, this idea of him comforting JD and stuff, I love all that. It's cool. It gives you a sort of segue for Marcus to reminisce and all this kind of stuff. It's really great. I love that idea. And so, yeah, I think we're either going to get that. So Gear 6 is going to be a prologue, an epilogue, or some DLC for a future game. Or, and this is what I think is maybe the most likely scenario, is that Gear 6 is going to be sidelined to a book, to a novel. In the same way that Halo Infinite has just continued its story in a new novel. I don't know if that book is out yet, but it's certainly, I remember seeing it advertised. Yeah, and you know, there's loads of Gears books. We just had a new one a couple of years ago. They've mentioned that they're still invested in that story. They didn't say another game is coming. They can wrap up the story in lots of different ways. And look, we've got an animated series supposed to be in the works, a movie and this kind of stuff. So there's other ways they can touch on this story. This idea of it being a segment in E-Day, I think is very possible. I actually love the idea. I would be happy with it. I mean, I would love a full Gear 6. I just don't think we're going to get it. I think it's done. I think they're starting fresh. Well, starting fresh by going back to the beginning and kind of relaying the groundwork. I don't think they're going to bin off the story of Gear 6, but it's going to be confined and contained to a book or DLC or epilogue or prologue. So I think Jake is right on the money here. This is very possible. And yeah, I'd kind of be fine with it, to be honest. The next write-in comes from Lyric, who says, I love seeing Gears of War getting love, especially from PlayStation players. Hopefully we can get Gears of War 2 reloaded after E-Day. Yep, we all want it. We all keep saying it. Again, we touched on this on the main show, so do go and check that out. But is it possible? Yeah, never say never. I think the slightly low sales on PlayStation might have made them raise their eyebrows, but we will see. You know, in terms of whether it's worth doing a Gears of War Reloaded 2, a Gears of War 2 remaster. It seems silly, right? It seems silly that they wouldn't do it with all the stuff that's coming out. You know, I don't need an Unreal Engine 5 remaster. Look at this stuff they're doing that they did with Oblivion, right? That was like an amalgamation of the old engine and Unreal, right? So they could do something new now with old versions of Unreal. I'm not exactly sure about the technical side of Reloaded, but isn't it is an old version of Unreal inside the new version or something? I don't know. Someone in the comments can correct me, but it's not Unreal 5, right? So they could do it. A lot of the work is done. It's just smartening it up, but it's a lot of work to do. With Reloaded, the remaster work was kind of already there, and they're very busy on E-Day. But they could farm it out. This is what they've done with the Oblivion remake and apparently the Halo remake that's going to happen, and what they've done with the Metal Gear Solid remake. It's been it's farmed out to outside studios, right, doing it. So there's no reason they can't do that. Yeah, hopefully we can get it. I'm with you, Lyric. Next write-in is from Rock, not The Rock, just Rock. They say, I believe it was a success, mainly in the sense of the story and introducing Steam and PlayStation players to it. Well, Ultimate Edition was on PC, right? But I guess it wasn't on Steam. It was on Windows, maybe. The multiplayer definitely got good feedback from PlayStation and Steam. The only bad that's agreed upon with the multiplayer is how clunky and outdated it is. It feels, but they loved the atmosphere, map design, characters, pretty much everything in what I've been seeing. Most of my info is mainly from X, YouTube, Reddit, and my own gaming group. It succeeded in its goal to reach new players and win over their hearts and have them get excited for E-Day. Unfortunately, the Xbox and Windows players seems like they don't care for their new brothers in arms. It's okay, we got Gears like us who welcome them with open arms. Also, love your love your work, keep it up. Thanks so much, Lyric. Yeah, this is really cool because this is obviously Alex, David, and I all played it on Xbox, and we did say on the show I kind of wanted someone to come on the show and some feedback from someone with a clean slate who maybe hadn't played Gears or was playing it on PlayStation and what the PlayStation community was saying. And I think this is kind of what I've seen as well, because we talked about how the PlayStation players have disappeared from the multiplayer, and it's probably because of this. There's nothing inherently wrong with the multiplayer, but it is very different. Like Lyric says, it's outdated. It's outdated, but in a way that if it's... I said on the main show that it's not like tank controls and Resident Evil. It's not as far as that. Gears 5 still kind of feels like Reloaded does. It's just got some slight different tuning with the speed and being able to vault over cover, which is the one thing I said I massively miss, and I think it really needs that. That's where it definitely feels like it drags it back a bit, and you could say outdated. But it's just so unique. Nothing else really plays like Gears, so there is this huge learning curve you're expecting people to pick up with people who have 20 years of experience already. Of course, the PlayStation players are going to be scared off, but there is a lot of appreciation for, yes, atmosphere, map design, characters, and everything like that. I think that is unanimous, and I think basically all of the reviews said this as well. It's funny because Gears hardcores really take the multiplayer very, very seriously as a part of the package, whereas I think there's a lot of people who just love the campaign and the co-op campaign, maybe, and I think those people outnumber the hardcore multiplayer players by far and away in terms of the people who've played through Gears throughout its history. So yeah, you've got these kind of two groups, and it's something we'll talk about more in future, about how this kind of the player base is separated and divided, because it is so different. I've got people I know that absolutely love Gears of War that played none of the multiplayer, played it for like an hour in 20 years, but they've played through every campaign, to death, love Horde as well, but PvP, no, they're just not messing around with it. So yeah, it is interesting. It's been a success for those reasons, for sure. I do agree. I just wondered if they were expecting more sales. Next, we have Ultra MSV. My thoughts on Gears Reloaded. I have to say, it's good for newcomers, but I dislike a few things. Campaign. I don't like that they brighten up the look. This was their second time remaking it, and they should have gone closer to the look of the original. Final mission in the original against Ram, the sky is dark, and you have spotlights to defend yourself against the Krill. In Reloaded, the sky is bright and orange, and there is no reason to hide from the Krill if that's the case. Also, the bonus missions from PC version where you fight the Brumac should be optional. I hate that it slows down the pacing of the final act. They should have given us an option to play that this time around. Multiplayer, this has probably been said to death, but the shotgun at times registers, and other times I feel like I'm not hitting the enemy, even if I'm in the middle of my screen directly on them. Yeah. I will say some guns feel great to use than the original, like the sniper. Overall, I finished most of the trophies on PlayStation. I'm just mainly focusing on kills, which has been fun the past few days playing with friends. I do sure hope we get Gears 2 remake in the foreseeable future. Yeah, there's a couple of really interesting points in here. Thank you, MSV, for the writing. First, I mean, the look of the campaign, the brightening up, I don't really agree with that. I think it looks better now. I do think it looks better. But it's a taste thing, and I don't want it to lose the dark and grittiness, but I don't think it has. I think they've done well enough, and there's some moments, maybe not the Ram fight. I think you might have a point there, but there's other parts in the game that, with the Wretches, with the Berserker, with the first time you meet the Krill, the gas station, like there's loads of stuff that's just, it looks fantastic and looks better than the original. And I say this as, an OG player. Yeah, this thing about the optional mission, you are completely right, and it's not really something I'd considered until I read this writing. I never played that alternate mission until the original Ultimate Edition, and of course I was very excited to just finally get my hands on that and experience it, because I felt very slighted that I couldn't experience that as a big Gears fan back in the day, and that mission was only available on PC, and I always missed out on it. So I was happy that I got to experience it, but having played through Reloaded, I mean, I've played through Ultimate Edition a bunch of times, but I've played through Reloaded 3 times, I think, the campaign, or 3 and a bit, like nearly 4, and this is a fair point. It does slow the campaign down. It completely stops in its tracks. Like, it's really cool because you get to deal with Brumac, and I remember that being a thing back in the original where you kind of only get a peek at it, and people were like, oh, why is this not a part of the game? And then it is, but it feels like, yeah, when they made it part of a game, it it really does mess with the pacing. You're completely right. I mean, it's fine. The game's not long overall. You kind of get through it in like 6 hours, maybe less if you're really good or playing on an easy difficulty. But I can't argue with that. I like the section. I like that it exists, but it definitely does slow things down. Yeah, and then the multiplayer, yeah, you're kind of, like you say, it's been said to death, and it's funny because it was a common thing that people are saying. I think they have patched it and they have tweaked it a little bit. I think multiplayer generally plays fine. My issues, as I said on the main show, are more around matchmaking and stuff like that. Next we have from Mario Jr. Will there ever be a collection of all the Gears of War games like how the Master Chief Collection exists? We could even call it the Phoenix Collection. Yeah, I mean, I don't know where you've been, buddy. Maybe you've been living under a rock, or maybe you're just not online at all. I hate to break it to you, but this has been rumoured for many years. The Marcus Phoenix Collection, yes, it's already been given this moniker. Apparently it exists, apparently it doesn't. 1 year it does, 1 year it doesn't. Who knows? I think it would be really stupid, to repeat myself, it'd be really stupid if we didn't get it, if they didn't do it. I think it's an easy win. I wonder if they've shot themselves in the foot by maybe now releasing it individually. I think they should have just launched with the whole package before E-Day, if that was possible. But, you know, I'm not going to be spoiled here. It's fine. They work on whatever they're going to work on. They think what's worth putting the work into. And maybe the low sales of Gears of War 1 indicate that they're right to not put the trilogy out or put the work into the trilogy. But I think there's an argument to be made that the low sales on PlayStation are a product of the fact that it wasn't a trilogy. I think if it was the complete package, you might have had something more appealing. So, but I don't know. You know, I'm sure they're not sat there not thinking about this stuff. Sometimes fans can get a bit like, we know best, we know what they should do. Look, it's their jobs to work on Gears of War, all right? So I'm sure they're thinking about it. They're thinking about every reason why to do something and why not to do something. So Mario, yeah, we hope that it comes soon. Next we have Terry HB _ It will never succeed on PC if they keep treating the platform like a second-class citizen. Now this is an interesting one. They need to embrace modded content, lobby browsers, and full PC controls better. The fact the key rebind menu, minus the new updated mouse sensitivity slider, is the exact same as the original 2007 port is embarrassing. We don't even have an option for alternate controls on mouse and keyboard. Don't get me started on the split screen fiasco as well. Yeah, they're holding themselves back. The definitive edition, in quotes, has less features than the 2007 port. Okay, cool. I feel you, man. Like, so Terry, just so people are clear, I play on PC now. My PC is an additive to my gaming. My main place is my Xbox console. I've played Gears Ultimate Edition on my PC. I've never played that 2007 version. I don't know if I can. Am I able to play that these days? I'd like to maybe try it out. And you're talking about all this PC stuff like modded content, lobby browsers, and all this kind of stuff like PC players are used to. For me, this is a you thing. Like I can't really comment because I don't know how that enhances my experience. I mean, mods. I get the notion of mods. I don't know why you can't. I don't know why you can't mod the game. Then I mean, I thought any game that came out on PC. This is how ignorant I am. I thought any game that came out on PC can just be modded, right? I thought that's how it works. So is there a reason you can't mod Ultimate Edition? Please do write in again. Let me know. But the thing about PC controls and sensitivity sliders, yeah, you're completely right. And in a time where new games come out and remasters and ports come out and they are loaded with these kind of features. I mean, absolutely loaded. And specifically accessibility features. This sounds really stupid, but like subtitle size, right? That's something that and I can't remember if Reloaded does have it. I mean, if it does have it, cool, but maybe the subtitles are just big enough. But often I have to increase the subtitle size. I'm getting old, my eyes are worse, despite the fact I've got a big TV. If I need to read the subtitles, I need that text to be bigger. And pretty much every new game that comes out has an option to bump the text size up and the UI size. And this is cool. This is like standard for modern day, right? You need to be hitting these markers. So when I read stuff like this, it is like, yeah, they really package this up as the definitive version to play it. And for me, it is because of my experience with console, but maybe there is a section of the PC player base that is feeling slighted here, and it's completely fair enough. So I'm really thankful you wrote in about this because it's not my area and we need the voices like this. What I will say, though, is the split screen thing, that I'm kind of less on board with. I mean, I played devil's advocate a bit on the main episode where we talked about this, where it was advertised. I mean, I think it was advertised because they just used the same marketing across Steam, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they said PC split screen in the ad. It just said split screen because they're using the same advertising. So I think that was an oversight rather than a it's coming and oh no, it's not there. I'm happy to be corrected, but I think that's the case. And that's still bad. I mean, it shouldn't have happened. And it shows, yeah, like I say, it's an oversight, and they obviously pulled it, and they should have maybe done something to, to reimburse people for that. I don't know. I'm not sure what they could have done. Some Steam credits or something. But the kind of point I was making on the main show was, I think this is a very small group of people that play split screen on PC. Maybe it's growing because more people, and Alex mentioned this, that more people are now setting up their PCs on their TVs on the sofa because they can, like, Steam has like a console-like experience, and that's fair enough. I just think two people crowded around a desk and a small monitor playing split screen is a less likely scenario, so it's no surprise to me that it's not in the game. And there's things I want in games to feed my use case that aren't there. I don't really complain about it. I think, yeah, it's a very small minority. It'd be cool if they could do it, and they should do it. But I think it's got blown out of proportion because it was quote-unquote advertised when it shouldn't have been. I'm happy to be proved wrong. I just thought it was the same marketing used across all platforms, and it didn't say, like, PC, split screen finally coming to PC or something like that. In which case, that's horrific. They shouldn't have done that. But yeah, I thank you so much, Terry, for your writing, because these are some great points. And it's stuff that I don't notice because, as I say, I'm a console player. So these things about PC, yeah, completely valid. And then to wrap up for the write-ins from Lord Striker 7, Curtis Lawson, we have, why keep the same slow mechanics from the first game instead of updating them to the current mechanics? Yeah, so this obviously, I mean, I guess for the first thing you could say is it would have been more work to do that. So they haven't. They've done it's a visual upgrade. They haven't changed with the mechanics. And I talked about in my review how, and I've said on this video, that I do miss the better melee. I do miss vaulting over cover. What else did I say? Maybe adding some certain weapons and stuff like that. The mechanics and movement, it's not all that different between the original and Gears 5. I would say I prefer the new mechanics. I'm with you. The current mechanics, I do prefer them too. But they've approached this in a way that I don't mind, which is they're like, we're just going to keep it sacred. This is what it is. This is Gears of War 1. We're not going to come in and bring those new mechanics to it because then it's not Gears of War 1 anymore. So if they were doing a remake, maybe, yeah. I would have absolutely loved them to tweak this a bit, and that's where some of my biggest criticisms fall on Reloaded. There is a missed opportunity here to just put in that extra little bit of work, and I think, no, the decision was made with the production on this. It's like, no, it's a visual upgrade, tightening it up and polishing it to get it on PS5. It's not, we're not messing with the mechanics, we're not doing any of this, which I'm both fine with and is a missed opportunity. Both those things can be true. I don't want to play Gears of War 1 with Gears 5 mechanics, but that's because I think, I've played it. I'm there, I'm used to it. It's like picking up and riding a bike. But maybe for new players, it will be more of a struggle to go back to the stickier, less responsive, because it is less responsive and stickier, but for me, it works within the context of itself, so it's not a huge problem. So yeah, they've kept the same because a couple of reasons: production, money, work. The point of this, I think, was to get it on PS5. We know this, right? So they wanted to maximize return on that, and they probably have. I think they have, from by all accounts. So yeah, it would have been nice to see some Horde, see some slightly tuned movement, but it's not a remake. That's not what this is. It's Reloaded. It's not called Reload. It's not called Ultimate Edition Remastered or anything. Reloaded is just like, yeah, it's repackaged for PS5. So that about does it for the write-ins. I just want to give a quick shout out to everybody who responded on Twitter as well. So lots of you replied to our the post about the write-ins on Twitter, and we got like over 20 responses on there as well. And I'm not going to read through all of those on here. I prefer to keep the write-in process, kind of as it is, to try and get things on the videos, because these are a lot of write-ins on Twitter, which I'm happy to engage with publicly as well. But yeah, thanks to everybody that's taken the time to write in, to take the time to respond to us on Twitter, and everybody that's taken the time to watch the new episodes and previous episodes and everything we're doing here on Gears Intel, despite, the slight, I don't want to say miserable nature of the recent episode, despite the current sentiment. I'm still hopeful for the future. I still love Gears. I'm still excited for everything. That Splinter Cell animated series just came out on Netflix, and it's got me fiending for the Gears of War animated series that we're supposed to be getting, that we've heard nothing about. So I really hope that's still in the works. Obviously, we're barreling towards E-Day at the start of the year in 2026. I'm sure we're going to get some news and a look at that. And yeah, you can obviously go back and listen to our chat about the animated series. Back when we launched this show, we talked about the movie and the animated series and just kind of what we'd want from something like that. Those episodes are out there, so please do go back and check them out. It's timeless content. So, and yeah, there's going to be more coming up from me. I've got a few ideas of things coming up for Gears Intel, so please do stay tuned to the channel, subscribe, follow us on social media. We're on Twitter, Blue Sky and TikTok and all that stuff. You can find us. Just search for Gears Intel. And yeah, and come and get involved in the conversation, because there's lots to talk about with Gears of War. And please let us know in the comments if you missed the chance for the write-ins. What did you think of Reloaded? Where's your feeling at now? Are you still playing it? Have you moved on? Let us know. Right, gonna wrap it up. Until next time, thanks as always for listening, everybody. Remember the fallen.